What's up, guys? It's the Wolf. Are y'all ready for this? Let's get into it. For those of you guys who don't know, this is the last video of my general series before we do the seminars. I've been waiting for this for like a good year, maybe even a year and a half, and we're finally here. So, what does that really mean? Well, what it means is that though I will be still making videos, um, I will be making them less frequent. So I will still also be doing consultations. And for the next couple of months, depending on how long it takes me, I'm going to be making a very jam-packed set of videos that you guys will be able to go and purchase to watch that are going to teach you basically how to be the bad wolf. All right. I've been giving you guys bits and pieces enough that you guys have been somewhat dangerous already out there, but now let's take it to the next level. It's time to initiate you into the craft. So, for those who want that, these videos are going to tell you everything I've learned, including how to do your own research, how to do your own court cases. Um, we're going to cover taxes. We're going to cover IRS. We're going to cover all the masterful pieces now all put together in each one of these things, reasonably priced. And it's up to you if you want them. If not, hey, it's cool. So, does that mean that I'm not going to be reading more books, law books, and whatever else, blah, blah, blah? No, I'm going to take that time to be doing this. And I'm still going to make videos. I'm just not going to be pushing myself to get out all of this knowledge, which I now have in like, I think we're about 1,400 videos. Okay. All the general stuff that I know, stuff we've been working on. Now I'm going to make some videos as the masterful pieces. And as I now transition to go forward, learning new and different topics and whatever else, which I kind of do already, I'm going to be still yet making videos, but now I'm going to be expanding and utilizing my other two YouTube channels, which the one is Badwolf Unlimited on YouTube, and the other one is the Badwolf Media Channel. Media Channel will cover things I see in the news, and I'm just going to talk about what I think about whatever else. Badwolf Unlimited, I'm going to talk about everything technology, different languages, the Diddy trial, uh, Atlantis, ghosts, everything, whatever pops in my mind or whatever is interesting, I will be doing that. And I will probably, unless I start to see a problem, have the comment sections more so open over there. All right, for open discussions and people can whatever else. So we're going to try to transition things a little bit, and it has taken some time to come up with the thought process, the format, pricing, position, name. It's actually a lot more effort than you would think. A lot of people just think, oh, just jump in front of the YouTube and video and go, haha. That's not, there's more work to it than that, believe it or not. And actually, I don't even do as much work as some people because I don't edit my videos. I don't make like two or three different versions. It is, if I don't get it right in the first couple of seconds, I stop, end it, and then make a new video and just run. I don't have anything scripted. This is all just me flowing as a natural person, as it should be, versus the legal person. Hmm. All right. Without further ado, let's get into this particular last video. I think you guys might find this interesting. And who provided this document? Interesting. So let's get going. All right. All right. Let me share the screen. So once again, everybody who is a faithful person and a person of light, take time for yourself. Take time to breathe and appreciate who you are. Sit on the side of the road, look at the small pieces of grass and the sand, and just exist. Let all your problems and stresses for just 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes, just let it go. in your conscious waking life. Stay blessed, stay healthy. All right. Let's share the screen, if you know what I mean. All right, so this particular video is going to be titled Everything is Fictional, or Everything in Commerce is Fictional. But I want to give credit where credit's due. I did not put this together, though I know a good chunk of this information. Let's drop down to the bottom. Drop down and get your eagle on. So this particular video, unless this is a deep fake or something like that, was created back in April 2015 by the Minnesota Secretary of State. Shot goes out to Minnesota and Stephen Simon. DBA Douglas Joseph Herright or Fright. CFO. Business entities, got his number on here. This file was online, so fair use. Right here, authored by him. Sign it. All this good stuff. All right, so now you guys see where that comes from. Let's get back up to the top, and I'm gonna let the lovely AI read away.
Everything in commerce is fictional, including that legal name you always thought was you. Artificial person, legal definition, http://legal-dictionary.thefreedictionary.com/artificial+person. Noun. A legal entity that is not a human being but for certain purposes is considered by virtue of statuteto be a natural person. A corporation is considered an artificial person for service of process. Here is a hint. That person that is served a summons is an artificial person in the case of a lawsuit which is a business transaction. Get it? This simply means that the person being served is not a human being. Here is the next line of that same definition. Artificial person. In a figurative sense, a body of men or company are sometimes called an artificial person because the law associates them as one and gives them various powers possessed by natural persons. Corporations are such artificial persons. 1 Bouvier's Dictionary INSTN 177. In a figurative sense, meaning in an imaginary situation, this is what an artificial person really is and what it means and in that context. So the next question is, what is a natural person? If you are in a body of men that considers themselves a citizen of the United States, a body politic i.e. Russia, France, Canada, Mexico, etc., then you are also considered to be a natural person by the online legal definition above and are non-living. So now let's define a natural person in that exact same online legal dictionary source. Natural person, legal definition, http://legal-dictionary.thefreedictionary.com/natural+person. Noun. A real human being, as distinguished from a corporation which is often treated at law as a fictitious person. Here is another legal definition of natural person from Cornell Law School. Natural person, legal definition, https://www.law.cornell.edu/wex/natural_person. A living human being. Legal systems can attach rights and duties to natural persons without their express consent. See artificial person, contrast. But wait. Don't those two definitions contradict one another? Of course they do have to, otherwise someone would come along and figure out they are not U.S. citizens and that would screw everything up for those attorneys and judges that are controlling your minds. Page 1 of 18. See, they are not controlling the system, your actions do that for them. Everything is voluntary, so when you partake as a citizen of the United States you are already in trouble. Still wanna be one? That's fine with me, but if you are whining about how intrusive government is in your life, go whine elsewhere because the government has nothing to do with your woes. It's your fault, stupid. Before you get mad and throw something at me, let's legally define what a fictitious person is. Person. This is what is shown as a legal definition when fictitious person was input. In general usage, a human being. By statute, however, the term can include firms, labor organizations, partnerships, associations, corporations, legal representatives, trustees in bankruptcy, or receivers. A corporation is a person for purposes of the constitutional guarantees of equal protection of laws and due process of law. Foreign governments otherwise eligible to sue in United States courts are persons entitled to institute a suit for treble damages for alleged antitrust violations under the Clayton Act, 15 U.S.C. Section 12 etc. Illegitimate children are persons within the meaning of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The phrase interested person refers to heirs, devisees, children, spouses, creditors, beneficiaries, and any others having a property right in, or a claim against, a trust estate or the estate of a decedent, ward, or protected person. It also refers to personal representatives and to fiduciaries. West's Encyclopedia of American Law, Edition 2. Copyright 2008 The Gale Group Incorporated. All rights reserved. Person. N. 1. A human being. 2. A corporation treated as having the rights and obligations of a person. Counties and cities can be treated as a person in the same manner as a corporation. However, corporations, counties and cities cannot have the emotions of humans such as malice, and therefore are not liable for punitive damages. The object of legal rights. There are two kinds of legal person: human beings and artificial persons such as corporations. A partnership in England is not a separate legal person, but in Scotland it is said to have quasi-personality. So what does this really mean? These definitions are very confusing to the average man or woman, but not to me. Take a look what is below on that same page. Person. This word is applied to men, women and children, who are called natural persons. In law, man and person are not exactly synonymous terms. Any human being is a man, whether he be a member of society or not, whatever may be the rank he holds, or whatever may be his age, sex, and c. A person is a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the page 2 of 18.
All right. So before we get in deeper, I just want to come just I want this to come to your attention. I'm going through the new Black Laws Dictionary because I want to look up one particular word, but it's always interesting when I find new words and new things. So as I'm going through the book, this particular term catches my attention. They have the term fallen angel in the page 742 of the new book, 12 edition. Fallen angel, slang term. Okay. A company or institution or borrower whose credit worthiness has significantly declined. See also rising star. Do you guys not see that these people and beings, entities are really, though they downplay you believing in the Bible or God or religion or faith, that they're literally operating in the occult? colors, symbols. Let's see, even that stuff is not really truly occult. Occult just means hidden. And all it is this is stuff that the creator put in front of us that we don't know, that then they covet, hide from us, tell us we're crazy for looking and believing in any of that kind of stuff, colonize, brainwash, re-educate, and then control us. Why would they have the term fallen angel in a law book and then see rising star? But I digress. The reason why I was opening the book is because I personally had still fighting with the city on my house being in a trust, and I've now cracked the code on what I need to do to change it to ensure that my house is tax exempt for next year. I got two or three different angles I'm working. Just got to figure out which one or all of them do I want to do. So I may make a VIP video or a seminar on it. Actually, it'll probably be a seminar. I might talk about in the VIP. Um, but I think I understand, and I'm about to read the definition here to see if I'm correct. I haven't researched this. So the reason why is because I think when I did this a long time ago, and this is like, I don't know, 2 years now or something, and they still don't want to recognize that it's private, foreign. Though it's titled Lovitica, which is not Lovett, because Lovitica is not a surname, so they have no jurisdiction over it. It's not registered anywhere. But I think the mistake I made, if you want to be technical, is I have the word family in there. So let's see if we can find family in their book. Pretty sure we will, but let's see what it says. Because my theory is that they control and own the word family. Ergo, I screwed up when I made my trust and put Lovitica family. Shouldn't have put that in there. Let's take a look. Okay, familia, all persons free and slave in the power of a patern familias, a family including a household servants. One's legal relation through and with one's family, including all property, ancestral privileges, and duties. And that's under familia. So familia is used to signify the master of a house who are subject to his authority, wife, children, and slaves. Well, we know children is in there, is their family or household, including servants. You hear things like servants, you're talking about master slave, and that's their stuff. All of us should be free born individuals, natural living. So, okay, so let's go down and see what else we can get. All right, so the pure definition of family, not familia, but same thing. A group of persons connected by blood, by affinity, or by law, especially within two or three generations. A group consisting of a parent, pair of renters, so that's not good, and their children. That's not good either because they own that. By extension, a group of people who live together and use to having a shared commitment to a domestic relationship. Blended family, extended family, immediate family, family abuse, family annihilator, family. So it goes on and on. Then it comes to family law, 1919. The body of law dealing with marriage. Well, we know they own marriage, which means we know they own divorce and they own adoption, child custody, child support, child abuse, child neglect. So, yeah, they've corrupted or they've owned or always have owned the term family. Family law, family court, which would make sense why the government doesn't have anything titled family, nor does the government provide anything along the lines of marriage. Once again, we've been duped. Everything family is theirs. There's a whole list here: family trust, family violence. They regulate it. And anywhere where you can see that they regulate that under a term is then theirs, just like the word driving, driver, that's theirs. So family is theirs too. If they can regulate it, they own it. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Let's get back to the video and let's take it from there.
2. It is also used to denote a corporation which is an artificial person. 1 BL Com 123, for Bing. 669, C 33 ENGC, LR 488, Woods. Lect 116, back. Us. 57, 1 mod.
All right, I'm not sure where it jumped to and why. Oh, okay, maybe it was right here. Okay.
3. But when the word persons is spoken of in legislative acts, natural persons will be intended, unless something appear in the context to show that it applies to artificial persons. 1. Scam. R. 178. 4. Natural persons are divided into males, or men, and females or women. Men are capable of all kinds of engagements and functions, unless by reasons applying to particular individuals. Women cannot be appointed to any public office, nor perform any civil functions, except those which the law specially declares them capable of exercising. Civ. Code of Lewis. Art. 25. Women don't seem to like this part. 5. They are also sometimes divided into free persons and slaves. Freemen are those who have preserved their natural liberty, that is to say, who have the right of doing what is not forbidden by the law. A slave is one who is in the power of a master to whom he belongs. Slaves are sometimes ranked not with persons but things. But sometimes they are considered as persons. For example, a Negro is in contemplation of law a person, so as to be capable of committing a riot in conjunction with white men. 1 Bay, 358. Wiedemann. 6. Of persons are also divided into citizens, QV, and aliens, QV, when viewed with regard to their political rights. When they are considered in relation to their civil rights, they are living or civilly dead, vide civil death, outlaws, and infamous persons. 7. Persons are divided into legitimates and bastards, when examined as to their rights by birth. 8. When viewed in their domestic relations, they are divided into parents and children, husbands and wives, guardians and wards, and master's and servant's son, as it is understood in law, see 1 Towel. N. 168, 1 Bouv. INSTN 1890, note. How about the legal definition of a legal person? Here it is. Legal person, legal definition, noun when used in law. An individual, company, or other entity that has legal rights and is subject to obligations. A legal person is legally defined an individual, a company, a group of persons, or some other entity. So this of course means that an individual is an entity, a thing that is obviously non-living. Why? Because there's no such thing as a living entity. Entities are intangible things that have no life in them. A living man may control an entity in business transactions provided the legal name of that entity has been legally and properly registered by that man. You should begin to see what is going on and how the law only applies to non-living entities, which in turn means those same laws cannot possibly apply to you as the living man controlling that business entity. It is also obvious why there will be blowback from those people who are earning a healthy income and feel threatened by what I am showing them. I am not the threat though, I am simply showing people the truth, and that is what frightens them. If this does not open your eyes, then perhaps nothing will. The legal definition of person encompasses the fictional nature of all law and government because it can only deal with persons that are non-living entities, i.e. artificial persons, natural men and women, fictitious. Page 3 of 18. Persons and the like. This is the holy grail.
Now, I personally, I don't think that they meant, because here they can't deal with natural men and women in their normal form, only artificial persons and fictitious persons. But as you are a natural man or woman, you can allow them to regard you as an artificial. So they can put an invisible overlay if you accept converting or being a resident. Okay, so that's where I would disagree with this part. And as far as the part back up here where it says women don't like this, apparently in Civil Code of Lewis, Article 25, it expresses this. This is not my doing. Remember, this is someone else's document. He's just stating what he's learned, having been a part of, I don't know if he still is, but the system. He's writing this from inside the system and saying this is how they view us. That's why this is a very powerful document. I mean, take it for what it is, believe in it or believe it not. Like I said, he signed off on it. Could be a deep fake, but I don't know. I'm just providing information on certain documents. If he comes to me and says, "Hey, I didn't write that" or whatever else, then maybe we'll take the video down. Till then, seems like he put this out there for a reason. So let's keep going. And it does not like when I stop it from talking.
Persons and the like. This is the holy grail of law and commerce, folks. In the business world of the courts, the court only have jurisdiction over your person, not over the living man, which, of course, is you.
Unless you do a
I am
crime.
devoting a lot more time to this part of the puzzle because within these definitions I have shown you above lies the ultimate illusion. Herein lies the key to what we are doing to ourselves without knowing it, and how we are doing this out of ignorance. Ignorance is different than stupidity though, and I will explain that this way. Ignorance is a state of being uninformed and unaware. It can also mean that a person is lazy to notice something, or is doing so deliberately. As for stupidity, it is knowing what is right and trying to find it in the wrong. Stupidity is not the lack of knowledge, but the illusion of having it. An attorney at law is stupid, not ignorant. A. Everything in law has been created by attorneys and bankers/central banks and world banks too. Form organizations called governments. This is a fictional realm that includes all written laws governing commerce and trade. It's referred to as the U.C., and it is a humongous trap that was created as a means to lure unsuspecting men and women into the lair of evil. But people are getting suckered into volunteering without realizing it, and this is something that I did. Until I realized that I was screwing myself and decided to stop partaking in the self-inflicted pain and suffering I was causing by my acts. Yes, I was my own worst enemy at one time. Now I have no enemies at all. I stopped fighting. Who wants to fight anyway? Especially if you are losing those fights most of the time? You are just trying to survive whilst I am really living. You may not see this yet, but you may eventually, if you don't give up learning. Attorneys have created all the rules that make up the rule of law, but they have hidden in plain sight the most important rule of all. When I say everything in commerce is fiction, I really mean everything. Because all of those written laws regulating commerce are fictional or fake, make-believe, not within that commercial world can be real, and I mean nothing, including you. I have made an astounding discovery that I am now sharing with you and everyone else that cares to know what I do. I not seen any other man living as I do, nor have I read anything similar to this paper I have authored. I did not learn this from the internet. Sorry, Mr. Gore, but the internet makes registering a snap and also assists in people discovering for themselves what I am showing you now. I have uploaded and updated this paper to my scribed account page for people to view and download for free. I want people to discover this on their own with just a little assistance being necessary. I am showing you the door, you must walk through it. So here is how I put this all together. I discovered that I have been doing everything wrong, but so is everyone else, so I was in good company and most certainly not alone. Since I first wrote about this almost 2 years ago, I have learned many more things that have further served to confirm I am correct about what I am about to explain in detail to you now. I now control the legal business entity that operates in that fictional realm for me in commerce, and this allows me to transact business in this state for a profit legally for the first time in my life. 50+ years of living a lie is long enough in my humble opinion, and it was obvious to me when I found it what I had been doing wrong all along. It explained why my ass was handed to me so many times before in court and then provided me with the ability to turn the tables around 180 degrees. You see, there is a law on the books that page 4 of 18. They never told us about, and I found it hidden in plain sight, right under our collective noses. That law clearly states that in order to transact business legally, everyone must use a legal name that has been registered properly with the Secretary of State to create a legal business entity that can then be used to legally operate in that fictional realm. This is something we all must do, with the specific exception of attorneys, judges, clerks, officers of the court, and high-ranking bank officials, officers of the banks, which makes complete sense because they are the entities that have all the privileges and they makes all the rules. If we don't follow those rules though, there is no exceptions and we suffer the penalty of failing to do so. Filing that legal name that appears on the certificate of live birth by using the assumed name certificate is 100% legal and makes absolute sense in what seems to most people as a world gone totally mad. It explains why we have been at a disadvantage and allows us to connect all the dots which were missing before. No one can force anyone else to do anything, everything is voluntary, and that of course includes transacting business in this state. But if you choose to participate in that game of commerce, you had better educate yourself first and know what you are doing. This is mandatory for all business entities, including corporations, but my business is not a corporation and requires no license to operate legally. It does require that the legal name be filed to create that legal entity though, and everyone has no clue what they are doing to themselves. 2. Claim that you are a legal name is a lie because a legal name is a non-living entity. There is no incentive for any government employee to inform us of this requirement, and very few of them know what I am telling you anyway. This legal requirement is universal and every state has their own version of the DBA, which, depending on the size and population of the state, may be handled by the county clerk's office, which is a sub-entity of the Secretary of State's office. It is the only way the system can work properly for them, because when people discover that they are screwing up, they stop doing what they had been doing, and this puts a damper on the state's ability to collect tax revenue, eventually leading to a serious decline in earnings. Let's not fool anyone. The government is a for-profit business entity and it's big business now, so this is not something that we can expect its employees to accept easily, but the truth is, those employees have no choice. There is no immunity for any government employee, including judges. In California, the legislation that mandates legal compliance for all legal names transacting business in this state of a profit may be found in Section 17900-17930 of the California Business and Professions Code. This is where the law refers to the legal requirement to file a fictitious business name statement with the county clerk's office, and this legislation has been modified dramatically in recent years because it was obvious that people were beginning to see that the problem was with the use of that legal name. The form for California is designed to prevent you from filing properly, and this of course is intentional. Alex Padilla's office is ripe for a huge lawsuit because it knows I have found fraud within that state-mandated form the county clerk claims everyone must use. The government agency that generally registers all legal business names in this state, which means in the United States, is the Secretary of State, SOS. The government created the legal name expressed on the Certificate of Live Birth, COLB, but failed to inform me that it represents an entity, not me. The legal document that I used to file that legal name and represents the founding business documents for my business entity is called an assumed name certificate, ANC. I filed the ANC online with the Minnesota SOS, and I know by experience, page 5 of 18, that this is the only way to properly register that legal name in the United States and be in compliance with the law. The other states' various DBA forms are traps luring in people and causing them to believe the purpose of this legal requirement is so that other people know who they are doing business with, but that is just a trick. The Minnesota ANC is an official government document certified by SOS Steve Simon and serves as validated evidence proving that my business entity is properly registered as required by law. The importance of compliance becomes self-evident if you end up in court, because that is where it really matters, but I will explain that later. The Minnesota's SOS has the same official validation as any state SOS has in the United States and may be used with any legal name that originates from the COLB, regardless of what state in which it has been created. It also does not matter if you were born in another country and wish to file in Minnesota, because a legal name on any birth certificate is still a legal name. This is great news for people who wish to stay in the USA but have no legal papers to establish a legal presence. Naturalization is another trap. The Minnesota ANC is valid in each and every state to transact business in the United States for a profit without having To pay an income tax while also offering solid proof it is 100% compliant with the rule of law. The legal name is actually a product created by the state referred to and by the certificate of live birth, the COLB, but this is not a real name, which is why it's called a legal name. It is in fact the real name flipped around 180 degrees and then disguised as a first middle last. FML, name, a name which is definitely not you. This has created a lot of confusion as to what the difference is between a real name and a legal name. Here's a reported quote from Mark Zuckerberg. There is some confusion about what our policy actually is, the CEO wrote. During a Facebook Q&A, real name does not mean your legal name. Your real name is whatever you go by and what your friends call you. If your friends all call you by a nickname, and you want to use that name on Facebook, you should be able to do that. So we can see now that Facebook is very much interested in you telling them what that legal name is, but Mark is simply muddying the waters by not really explaining the legal difference and why two names exist to begin with. The FML name is legally defined in CFR Section 100.12 Identification, 52 U.S.C. 30101, 13. Identification means, in the case of an individual, his or her full name, including first name, middle name or initial, if available, and last name, mailing address, occupation, and the name of his or her employer, and, in the case of any other person, the person's full name and address. Nowhere in that definition will you find the word surname. This means that a surname is not the name used for identification purposes and that a FML name may only be used in that way to identify itself in a business transaction. The word surname was derived from the root word sur, which serves as a prefix meaning over or above and occurs primarily in words with French influence, i.e. surcharge, surname, surrender, survive. This root word is the prefix sur, which means over, above and more. This prefix does not indicate greatness or superiority. In number 2, it is a belt tied over a saddle. In number 14, it describes an article of clothing that goes over other clothes. Sur is not used as a suffix. Surcharge, sur charge, surcharge, n. An addition over and above the price. Page 6 of 18.
Sorry, every once in a while it goes a little wacky. We're just going to talk about things like surplus, surprise. Basically goes into that. He goes into that for a while. Okay, so let's get back to it.
Now you know the difference between a surname and a last name. They are obviously not the same. This is precisely why a USA passport, note that it is not called a U.S. passport, has the surname strategically placed above the given name, and this also explains why that document is not considered a legal form of identification. Passports are legally
Again, sorry. Don't know what's acting all choppy. Oh my God. Okay, let's just have it read from here again.
Now you know the difference between a surname and a last name. They are obviously not the same. This is precisely why a USA passport, note that it is not called a U.S. passport, has the surname strategically placed above the given name, and this also explains Why that document is not considered a legal form of identification. Passports are legally defined as traveling papers for men and women, and this is universally understood in law.
Travel
Don't
document.
believe me? Call the passport office, which is located in Secretary of State John Kerry's office, Wash, D.C. The non-living legal name is only supposed to be used to name and identify the registered non-living legal business entity operating under that legal name and cannot legally be the same name as the living man who uses it to conduct business in this state. For a profit. Are you living or non-living? I don't know about you, but I am a living man, and there is nothing non-living about me. One common denominator is that all of these documents are issued by the Secretary of State, which is also the office with the registry of all business entities. A certificate may only be issued to a non-living entity, not to in any way representing a living man or woman. What is the legal definition of certificate? Now it gets real interesting. Certificate, legal definition. A written document that is official verification that a condition or requirement has, or has not, been met. The COLB is a certificate, all right, but it is not proof that the legal name has been registered. As the law requires if one plans to use that name to transact business in this state for a profit. That COLB is simply a copy of the birth record as shown in the birth registry, and that only records events, not names. That legal name is not registered until you file an ANC with the U.S.C, which is up to us to do. This is yet another trick used to keep you and everyone else totally mystified, including the government employees that work in that agency, as to the true purpose of that ANC and what that legal name represents in law. The realm of commerce is not real, and neither are any of those commercial laws, UCC, that are being thrown around on the internet. So now we also know that a passport is not used to identify you or anyone else, but rather to show anyone that asks for your papers when traveling to other jurisdictions. The surname tells someone what family you came from, to indicate your inheritance, and the given name is page 8 of 18. The name you are known by or known as. Lawrence of Arabia was known as Lawrence from the region of Arabia, and I am also known as Douglas of Avalon, but these names do not identify the man. They identify what he is known as and where he is from, neither of which identify who he is. Only entities may be identified, which means that if you obtain an ID, you are claiming yourself to be a non-living entity. That's not good, of course, unless you are dead. By properly filing the ANC with the SOS, this provides my registered legal business entity a status of active/in good standing with the Minnesota SOS, which means that my business entity is legally registered and may defend itself in a court action as well as sue other entities to hold them accountable for any losses/damages to that business, financial or otherwise. In essence, the ANC is the game piece that I must use to allow me to legally conduct and transact business lawfully in the realm of commerce, while also evidencing and demonstrating that I am the living man that exists outside of that fictional realm that represents that entity.
Hello?
Myself. It also allows me to establish the fact that I do not own anything and that it is my business entity that owns and holds all private property held in that registered legal name. I am the registered name holder, not a registered owner. A registered owner is not considered a living man because a man cannot own anything, but a registered business entity in good standing with the state can and does own property and is therefore able to protect those assets from theft or damage by another party. A holder of property has complete discretion with respect to the use all property owned by and held in the name of that.
Come on. You can do it. Spell out the big words.
Registered legal business entity. A bankruptcy trustee is an example of the court appointing a holder as a trustee, is a holder of any property until the true owner may be found. I reiterate. The fact that I do not own anything, my business entity owns everything that would otherwise be assumed to be owned by me, and that would be a false presumption. This is how people get themselves in trouble with a court. They unknowingly lie to the court and everyone else and then wonder why the ruling is made against that person. You must screw up first. Then all they must do is wait for you to commit the act. This status distinction becomes self-evident with the proper filing of the ANC and is extremely important for you to understand, because if I do not own anything, nothing can be taken from me. If a person/entity, like the IRS, wishes to take something owned by my business, they must first take this up with the courts and file a lawsuit against that person, which is the registered legal business entity, not me, that allegedly owes the IRS money/tax. Since my business is properly registered, it is legally capable of maintaining that legal name in any court action, meaning it may sue another party or defend itself should another party file a complaint/lawsuit against it. The IRS is alleging a personal income tax liability, but my business has no personal income whatsoever, and neither do I. It's all business income, and since that business is a sole proprietorship, that pass-through entity has no tax liability. I am not the sole proprietor, however. The legal name is that sole proprietor. That legal name was filed properly with the SOS using the ANC, and that created the sole proprietorship, which bears the same name. The legal definition of that sole proprietorship entity is as follows. Sole proprietorship, a form of business in which one person owns all the assets of the business, in contrast to a partnership or a corporation. Page 9 of 18.
Come on. You're a big girl. You can do it. Next page. Guess not.
A person who does business for himself is engaged in the operation of a sole proprietorship. Anyone who does business without formally creating a business organization is a sole proprietor. Many small businesses operate as sole proprietorships. Professionals, consultants, and other service businesses that require minimum amounts of capital often operate this way. A sole proprietorship is not a separate legal entity, like a partnership or a corporation. No legal formalities are necessary to create a sole proprietorship, other than appropriate licensing to conduct business and registration of a business name if it differs from that of the sole proprietor. Because a sole proprietorship is not a separate legal entity, it is not itself a taxable entity. The sole proprietor must report income and expenses from the business on Schedule C of her or his personal federal income tax return. This means that all income that passes through that business is tax exempt, and since I am not the sole proprietor, I have no personal income and thus, no personal income tax liability. All the income is business income under the control of the account holder, which of course is me, and no tax filings are required whatsoever. I opened a business bank account with U.S. Bank and the tax identifier is the SSN, Social Security number, that was assigned to that business entity by the SSA, allowing it to identify itself to government for tax purposes. That SSN has nothing to do with me, you see. It is the tax ID for my registered business, and this further distinguishes the entity as a business and not me. I encourage those who wish to comply with the law to open a business account right away and transfer any and all funds from personal accounts over as soon as possible. Personal accounts are in fact fraudulent because you are signing a contract stating that the legal business legal name is you, and that is not true. Within the commercial realm of the United States, only legal entities/legal fictions are allowed to operate in commerce legally, and those business entities must be registered entities that are active and in good standing with the SOS. So what is the penalty for not filing that legal name properly? It is not a fine or jail time, but there is a penalty that is far more reaching than either one of those things. The penalty for non-compliance with this mandated law to file is that the legal name/legal entity is unable to maintain that legal entity/legal name in any court action, which means there is no way to proceed in a case brought against that business or to sue any other party in a court until proof is established that it is in compliance. In other words, that business entity may not maintain that name in a court action, business tort, etc., and has no way of protecting and or otherwise defending itself or its assets from another party that has perhaps stolen or damaged private property owned by that business. You have unknowingly made yourself a sitting duck. That law is in place for very good reason, but there must be a way the government allows all of us to comply with that law for it to be considered good law. That law is intentionally hidden in plain sight where it was thought no one would discover it. My discovery proves that nothing is hidden forever, and the truth always exposes itself at some point in time and must be acknowledged. We must also realize that government employees have no obligation to tell us what we should be doing that may be construed as legal advice, and attorneys have no incentive to tell us anything because then we would not need them for representation. I have already educated myself and complied with a law they may know.
What is the most painful thing anyone has ever said to you?
Just not the same things I've been telling you guys for all these years, all this time. And here's somebody who was in the belly of the beast, one of them. I told you, we have many people, whether we know it or not, on our side. Many people who were in the belly of the beast now waking up. The bell has been rung. That which has been heard cannot be unheard. Badwolf, baby. Let's go.
Page 10 of 18. Nothing about, and it can easily get confusing to them, but I have no obligation to educate the court or any attorney either, and we all know that ignorance of the law is no excuse, correct? Why is this so important? Because we have been misled, intentionally or not, into thinking and actually believing that we are an entity by using that legal name as if it were our own name. A belief is the absence of knowledge, which is the same as saying I did not know that, so I have no beliefs. I either know something or I don't. I have no beliefs and thus know that I am not that legal name and am able to prove it. An entity is a thing, an object, or a product that is non-living. It has no heartbeat and it is not breathing, ergo it is not living. I am a living man that has a heartbeat, can eat, breathe, walk and talk, therefore, I cannot possibly be an entity as that would be quite impossible for anything to do. I am able to prove that I am not that legal name/legal entity. The COLB is that product the state creates/produces for us to use to transact business. Bingo. This is the function of the assumed name certificate. It was created for this purpose so that I, as a living, breathing man, may have the ability to comply with the law. I cannot function in a fictional realm because I am a man, but most people are attempting to do this without knowing what it is they are doing to themselves. This is the commission of a criminal act and it is called false personation. Claiming to be something that you are not out of ignorance is silly and it is illegal. Now you know why you will probably lose in a court action every single time. Do you know who you are now? The more important question is, do you know what you are not? It does not help me to know this, I already know the answer. It only helps you to know the answers to these two questions and then be able to prove it in court. If you do not see what I see, it is because you see yourself as that legal entity. Your mind may not open up to seeing anything other than what you have been taught to believe because most people have no clue what they are doing. Only if you know who you really are can you possibly know what and who you are not. The information I am sharing did not come from any book or from an internet website. It is the culmination of well over 20 years of study and immersing myself in something that most people want nothing to do with, written law. Anyone can tap into this source of knowledge I am showing you, but you must first be willing to accept something that flies in the face of what we were all taught in school and held as truth by most of our friends and family. I may not be able to teach you how to open your mind, but I can certainly show you the path to finding that doorway. It's up to you to walk through it. This material is actually very easy to understand once you are able to see that FML name is not you and what filing that ANC really does. Your ability to grasp the importance of what I have done is predicated on whether you want to know the truth. Not knowing this is not abnormal, in fact, unfortunately, it is the norm and I am doing the best I can to make this easy to understand. Let's delve a little deeper into how this all transpired in the first place and how our minds have been controlled as a means to get us to voluntarily submit to being enslaved without knowing it. Do you have complete control of everything in your life? You can, but first you must let go of what you can't control, that is, everything that exists outside of reality and is in the commercial world that you have no control over. That fictional world of commerce you need to use to live, but have no control over, may only control you and your property when you have not filed the page 11 of 18. Legal name properly. You did not create any of it, but it controls you because you are not aware of the most important rule. If it controls you, it controls your mind. Your mindset must be in the proper place and you must open your mind to what the world of commerce really is. It is all an illusion, a fiction, a game. That COLB, Certificate of Live Birth, is a very big part of that fictional world of commerce and the game being played, but how can one prove that he or she is not a part of it? Stop partaking. Give back what is not yours and then you will be able to get back what really is yours. That is, you stop functioning within the commercial world as a thing, knowing that fictional world of commerce that you think is real is not real at all. Give back. That driver's license and cancel all other registrations you have filed, such as voter registration. People who register the legal name to vote are actually committing voter fraud because remember that the legal name is an entity and entities can't vote. I have no problem with those who do register.
Now, let's break for a second. So he's mostly right, but even he still doesn't have the full picture, and maybe he's changed from where he was when he made this to where he is now. He's right that there it is a level of fraud, but what he didn't understand, what he didn't say correctly here, so I do differ in some of the things on how he's saying it. He doesn't quite have it right, but he's really close. When you register to vote with that once was a given name, then they got you to, through the birth certificate, which was deception, reside from the private to the public and then declare that this name, which was a first, middle, last for FML, which I think really is where they got family from, which is something they created because it's different than a given name. And it's another way of describing the legal name. When you did that, you gave them a mock name of yours, looks just like the given name, spelled the same way, but its topography is different. We know that under the UCC, under was it UCC 1-201 definitions, conspicuous format, that the all caps name is a legal person and it falls under capitis demutio maxima, which is Latin for a full loss of family name rights or some surname rights and privileges. Essentially, you're a slave or you're a product. And we know the states operate under the UCC, so these are facts. When you did that, you became a member or property of them. You said, I am willing to identify so closely as that mask as to be treated and regarded as such. You have that ability to waive your rights. So you become a member. Once you do that, you have the entity's rights to vote. So he's right, but he doesn't have it quite right. All right. So you have just like today, some people would call it mental delusion to identify as something that you're physically, mentally, socially, financially just not. In the old days, that was delusion. When I was growing up as a kid, you try to say that you were anything but what they see in front of them, you are going to be locked up. Now everybody has that ability. In the old days, they would say that's part of multiple personality disorder and a lot of other things. Now they're being open to it. I wonder why. Why are they now allowing people to identify as being rocks or this or that when that's clearly biologically and atomically, and whatever else, just not, you're not a rock. But as a free spirit, you have the ability to make that claim. I'm torn because if you want to identify as a old white guy with jean shorts and a Corvette and great credit, then I should be able to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we also know that these people are doing things on a spiritual level and playing a game. So my thought would be is that if they're now okay, when once back in the day their system said, no, you're not okay if you do that, now they're saying it's okay. then that tells me that there's something probably wrong with identifying as things that you're really actually not. But hear me out. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying if the devil tells me, used to tell me when he was an angel and now he's becoming the devil that eating soup is bad, but now he's full on devil and he's telling me to eat the soup, I'm not eating the soup. Now, what are the long-term effects on somebody mentally, physically, spiritually on identifying as the legal person or something or some whatever that they're clearly not? I don't know. It's probably going to be between you and your soul or you and your maker, or if there is nothing in the afterlife, then I guess you don't have to worry about it. But we will find out as we go. This is live, this is in the moment. So everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody because not everybody's doing it. Well, a lot of people are identifying as legal person, but they don't even know that they're doing that. They don't even know what's going on. But to the people identifying as like trees and cats, not saying you can't, does make for good entertainment, but understandingly, like genetically, you're not a cat or a rock or a tree. But if that makes you feel better and comfortable and you know the difference, knock yourself out. Have fun. It's playtime. You whatever you want to be. But if you seriously don't know the difference, that might be leading into something psychological. But maybe you were in a past life, so you can closely identify. Whatever your get down is, as long as you're not hurting anybody or causing a drain on the system, I don't care. Knock yourself out. All I'm trying to say is if the devil's trying to tell me now to eat soup, I'm not eating the soup. Period. Let's get back to it.
Register to vote or have a driver's license though, it is none of my business. Written law requires that you register any name that you are using in commerce for a profit in this state by filing with the Secretary of State or a state agency that is charged with registering DBA names. For the state of Minnesota, Section 333 of the revised Minnesota statutes is where you will find this legislation. Stop and think for a second, is that COLB/legal name a name you are using in commerce? Yes, of course it is. Most people use that legal name every single day in commerce to transact business but don't realize it. You use it as if it were identifying you, the man or the woman. The problem is, it was never intended to identify you, the man. That legal name was created by the state to identify a legal entity transacting business in this state. More specifically, it identifies a business entity that operates in commerce lawfully for a man or woman for whom it was created. Filing the ANC accomplishes the task of registering that legal name, and the SSN that is assigned to that COLB/legal name, oftentimes at birth these days, has a specific purpose as well, that is, to associate a 9-digit tax identifier, ID, to that specific registered legal business entity that has been filed with the SOS. This is important because there could easily be more people filing that same exact legal name, but there are never two identical SSNs associated with the same legal name. The ANC guidelines clearly point out that filing with the SOS does not copyright or trademark that name, it registers it so that it can be verified by anyone that wishes to evidence that name is indeed properly registered and has a status of active and in good standing. This is the same sort of status that a licensed corporation has when it has properly filed and registered with the SOS and provided it is following the rules of the game. There exists one major difference, that is, the ANC is not a license, it is mere business as, and that is a significant difference. Why? Because any license is a license to break the law. If you have a driver's license, for example, all a law enforcement officer has to do is accuse you of breaking a law, and the burden of proof is on you to prove otherwise. Why? Because you are claiming to be a fictional entity, not a living man. How does one prove they are a man and not a fictional entity? The ANC does that, and that, my friend, is the sole purpose of that filing with the SOS. Now you do not need a license or permit to drive, or to build a home, or to buy a car, or to do anything else you desire. Your registered business entity operates in commerce for you, which proves that the COLB legal name can't possibly be you. So this comes back to that first understanding of who we really are, and more importantly, who we are not. You are not that legal name on the COLB, but you must be able to prove this to anyone that inquires, because there exists a presupposition that everyone is that person, entity, that. Page 12 of 18. Known as a legal name, and most people step right into the trap of going down to the county or to the SOS where that COLB was created and pays to get a certified copy of the COLB. Then they unknowingly hurt themselves by using that legal name / COLB, which was voluntarily paid for, and go down to the DMV to obtain a driver's license. This requires that an image of that man or woman be digitally superimposed on a card called a driver's license, right next to a first, middle, last name that is not their name. So a driver's license is nothing more than a fictional entity / thing created by the state at the request of an ignorant man or woman to use in commerce. But
So, to give you some part of this, and keep some for the seminar videos, got to keep some of the goodies. But the name is yours. And I've already read Supreme Court cases on this, okay? The name is yours because of the birthing documents. They're saying we recognize this name, and if you want to use this name, you have the ability to, and we'll know that it's not actually you, but it's yours. What you do with it from here is up to you. In its all capitalized form, per UCC 1-201 definition, conspicuous format, it is a commercial legal thing recognized on the state level or UCC internationally. With the government, per GPO style manual, it is in fact you when you're addressing the correct government agency. So it's not that it's not yours, it is yours, but it ain't you. It is a separate legal entity with the same spelling of the name, but different topography. Topography is what it looks like. And by law, that topography in all capitalized letters per old Roman law, UCC law, UCC 1-207, capitis diminutio maxima, it is a slave or employee, dead entity, possession, identifier. Let's get back to it.
but it is fraudulent, and you are breaking the law that requires that name be properly filed with the SOS when you operate as a fictional character in their realm of commerce, thinking of course that the COLB legal name is you, you are violating the law. without even knowing it and making yourself that game piece that is not really you because it is in fact a non-living entity. This explains why having a driver's license is a death wish. All licenses are a license break the law. It also evidences that you have not filed that COLB name. With the SOS, as the law clearly requires, providing that judge with total judicial discretion to rule as he or she desires with no actual relevance to law. Section 17900 of the California Business and Professions Code states the following. 17900B, as used in this chapter, fictitious business name means 1. In the case of an individual, a name that does not include the surname of the individual. Remember that old maxim, ignorance of the law is no excuse? That goes both ways, of course. And once a man has you comply with the law by filing the ANC with the SOS registering that legal name, you are now fully compliant and can prove that COLB legal name is not you. The presupposition that you are that legal name/legal entity is immediately put to rest and the tables turn 180 degrees in your favor. That legal name now works for you instead of against you. By the way, state employees are not told what I have just shown you to be the truth in this paper. If you are damaged in any way, your entity has standing in court provided you are able to evidence that your legal name on that COLB has been properly filed with the SOS and has a status of active and in good standing. Now you know why a judge has total discretion in deciding your case if you have not filed properly, because you are providing him or her with that discretion by failing to have any standing in their court. You can't defend your business entity or sue anyone else. Your registered business entity evidences that you as CEO have standing in any court, and therefore any and all discretion that judge may have assumed to have does not exist. You are now able to evidence that your legal name has standing, so you can defend yourself and, if need be, sue any corporation or person, including the United States, Inc., and win. Also, there is a form of restitution for people like us that are in compliance and have been damaged by poorly trained government employees. This form of restitution, known as unjust enrichment, shifts the burden of proof to the government/defendant to prove that it did not unjustly enrich itself. Only an entity may have standing in a court. A living man or woman won't be recognized in a court. Remember, the first thing any judge asks in court is to state your full name. Once you have identified yourself as that legal name, you have just stated that you are a dead man. You cooked your own goose. This is the voluntary nature of everything in commerce. It's all in that legal name and requires that you claim that entity ISU. Page 13 of 18. Oh, then, it is this form of voluntary act that explains the voluntary nature of the personal income tax and why anyone who claims they have personal, as opposed to business, income may have a personal income tax, why the government tells everyone the income tax is voluntary. Because until you properly file that legal name on the COLB with the proper authority known as the SOS, you have no way of proving that you are not that legal name. That presupposition exists and always will exist because your mother acted as an informant by telling the so-called government she produced a product. Why are you considered a product, and how can anyone tell?
So one of the things here is that they get the female to reduce herself. It's always funny that they want the female and the male to fight so that they're separated, go to court, call the police, have her get frustrated, mad, whatever else, go after the man or the male, drain him of money, give it to her. She blows the money, rinse and repeat. This is their business model. I don't care how you feel about what I'm saying. This is the facts. But they get her to reduce herself by having her call herself an informant. You know what informant really is? It means dumb bitch. You're informing them like some random person on the street who created something and you're now giving it to them. Now it's funny because if a man called to her that or her dude, she'd lose her shit. But if you say it in a business way, informat, info and R mat. Almost anytime you see an R in the word, it's never good. To me, it really means a recitant, to redo something. And you're also informing. Informing what? Informing and a T. These are also generally not good. So they're getting her to reduce herself, calling her something outside of her name, basically a snitch. And then she's upping her product, which is the offspring, not the child. They own the word child and children. Well, they have children's law, family court. It means they own those things. If you can regulate it, you own them.
Tell an entity something and have it somehow respond that it understands? Look up live birth in state law and you will find the answer to that question. You see, ignorance of the law is absolutely no excuse, but if you know the law, you know the rules of their game and are therefore no longer ignorant. Anyone reading this for the first time is probably ignorant and may take this personally, but that is ignorant as well. The people that created government also created the fictional world of commerce, so they made the rules, and the rule of law is what governs entities, not men and women. If you know the rules as well as I do, your business entity operates in commerce for you and you have therefore averted any and all problems associated with law enforcement. You have stopped volunteering to partake in that fictional world of commerce illegally and unlawfully. You are operating legally and lawfully through the use of that ANC and the business entity that you created as a means of complying with the law. Now you are 100% legal and compliant while pretty much everyone else is not complying and have no clue they are breaking the law simply by claiming to be something that they are not. No wonder everything is upside down and so difficult to figure out, right?
Well, first of all, they who are the facilitators of a general section of the fraud, maybe even accomplices after the fact, federal offense, by the way, they're not going to tell you. They're going to use plausible deniability. Say, well, we didn't know. I'm not the legal department. And why is everything upside down and difficult? Well, upside down because just like the bringer of light, if you want to use that name for Satan, you take everything and you flip it upside down because that's how you create your own kingdom and jurisdiction where you can rule. You're taking the up and you're siding it, meaning to reside, down. I then can control the opposite. And it's difficult because difficult, look at the word, to defy the cult. Occult means hidden knowledge. So you're defying the cult. Cult is also part of culture. This causes controversy. The C, controversy, the C of commerce. Commerce is where they make money on the open water. So if it's difficult and the waves are choppy, that's and the wind is blowing, that is how ships sail. They don't sail good on calm water and no wind.
Right? I simply figured out.
Do you guys have any idea how complicated this stuff is and what kind of a mind you need to have to learn a language, beat them at their own language? It's incredibly complex. So it's very dismissive when other people of your own race, nation, color, orientation, whatever, want to downplay you, make videos about you. Like it's very dismissive. They're basically doing the work of the devil. These other demons out here, they're working for them. So I don't even care if they have good knowledge. If you're going to attack somebody else for no good merit, but to bring yourself up, you are a piece of shit. Period. I said it. If somebody out there is not actively trying to do something wrong and evil and you're attacking them, you are the problem. You are mentally deficient. You are an agent. You are an entity of them. You can preach about, oh, here's how you get out of it, but then you're going to attack other people, showing people a different way, or maybe they don't have a perfect way, but it's not evil or wrong. It's not a setback, and you're attacking them. You are the problem, period. You're a traitor to God, this nation, and your fellow man, no matter what you look like, or what your name is, or how you hide your face, or your name, or whatever else. I ain't hid nothing since day one. Not my face, not my real name, nothing. Been transparent.
The rules and know them better than most people, therefore I win the legal game every single time I play. I can't lose. The best analogy I am able to provide is the popular game of Monopoly. The United States Incorporated created the game of commerce and they are providing you with a game.
Well, hold on. This is not completely accurate. Once again, I've been in this game longer than he has. He's right, but it goes further than that. The United States didn't just create a game. The cabal and the elite who control the entity known as the United States, locate UCC 9-307, location of the debtor, letter H, the District of Columbia, meaning the United States is in that 10 by 10 square mile. I think it's 5 now, but and it's not itself American. It's part of the family, but it is not American. And how can the whole entire United States be in that area unless it was a thing? So there's different definitions of the term United States. The real one is called the United States of America, but both of them use these terms interchangeably. They work together. They're tied at the hip. They're Siamese twins. If it doesn't say America, you definitely know which one you're probably, I should say, dealing with, because this one is in the corporate sense, legal entity, and the other one is in the continental geographical or real land. And a corporation is not real land, it's a legal person, and the cabal and the elite own it. And then they spread their tentacles, Hail Hydra, into America to play their game with the gold fringe flag. It has been adopted so many places that it looks like it's real and legitimate, but it's a bootleg bag. Y'all out here fighting each other, baby daddy this, baby mama that, sexy red, my booty hole brown. And these people are laughing and playing games with you guys all day. feeding the beast. You need to take your ball and go home. And just like Bruce Lee said, the art of fighting without fighting. The art of fighting without fighting. How do you do that? Show me some. Stop fighting with your girl. Stop fighting with your guy. Stop fighting with the baby daddy. Stop fighting with the baby mama. Stop putting people on child support. Work it out yourself. You're out here playing stupid games. You win stupid prizes. Well, I'm better than she is. I'm better. No, if you play stupid games, you must be stupid. I'm not saying this like I wasn't. I'm even right now, I'm making even more changes to my life. I'm done fighting and arguing. I'm done causing controversy. My girl wants to yell, argue, and fight because of triggers and past jackwagon dudes that she had bad discernment to let in her life. That's on her. I'm not arguing or fighting. I mean, we rarely do it anyway, but I'm done. We can talk. If it ain't talking, I'm out. I ain't saying a word. I'm going to go mute. When you're ready to talk like an adult, handle your triggers, heal yourself, I'll help you. We can talk. Otherwise, if we all keep playing the game, guess who wins? Whoever created the game. But remember, it's the cabal and the elite. Some of these people are the wealthy people in the world, and they live over in Europe, England. They're controlling us like a muppet. I'd say a puppet, but a puppet has strings above you. A muppet, someone's got their hand shoved up your, and that's what they're doing. Do you get it? Let's keep going.
Game. Piece known as a COLB, the legal name. When you play the game like you do just a...
Now, really, he doesn't quite get it either because the certificate of live birth is on the de jure side of things. So really, he should be exchanging this for state of birth certificate, if you ask me. The certificate of live birth contains living information, birth weight, date, or nativity, eye color, nationality, orientation, sex, pounds, birthmark. That living stuff on the COLB is for the living real person, but the state created one does not have that. That's why the COLB or the baby footprint version is the one you want to send to the Department of State for your passport. If you don't, and you only have the legal version, which is the state one, you get it authenticated on either the state or federal level. Doesn't matter. Can you do both? Yes. Do you need to? No. Is it good to do all two or three? If you can, yes. County, state, and federal. But it is not needed. It's overkill. The certified copy of the COLB. Do you need to do that? No. Did I say that a long time ago? Yes. We weren't sure then. We now know if you get a certified copy of this and it has living information, you don't need it. But if you get a copy and it doesn't have any information, it's still a legal one. I would still get that one authenticated. But you don't necessarily have to. If it has living information, you do not need to authenticate it. If it doesn't have any information, it's very cold and bland. Mom, dad, all caps, your name, all caps, city, state, all caps, portrait format, legal form, legal size. Yes, because that one is the legal person.
About every single day and use that legal name in commerce. Yes, you do. Pretty much everyone does. You are violating the golden rule. You know, the rule that states any name that is used in commerce must be filed with the SOS. Bingo. Do you see it now? Do you see how? Everyone is doing this to themselves by voluntarily stating that legal name is them? How can a man or woman be a legal entity? They can't, which is exactly why the government can do anything they wish to you until you comply with that golden rule. you give that judge total discretion to throw you in jail, fine you whatever he or she wishes, and you have no say in the matter. Even written laws don't matter because you have failed to understand that you are acting out of line by stating that you are a fictional entity and, of course, court is commerce. You are pointing a gun at your own head, then pulling the trigger. This is simply an analogy, but you get my drift, that when we stop volunteering, we stop partaking in that game of commerce and are able to prove/evidence we are a living man or woman.
Understand that none of this still yet means that you can just ignore the law. You can do whatever you want. It's not what this is saying. It's not what the passport is about either. Passport is a do not detain, not a do not arrest. You still are subject to laws, common law, respecting other people, Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. You're still subject to these things. But that's why I tell you guys in my videos, do not be a belligerent or combatant. As long as you're not hurting anybody, doing any property damage, denying anybody their rights of being able to do things, you are an American. You are a national. You are sovereign. That's what it says in the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. Have you read that? Anytime some jackwagon out there emails me on some, well, I tell them, get back to me after reading those three documents. I'm not even going to begin to talk to you until you have. Lawyers, judges, attorneys, if you haven't read that superior document, why it's like getting really heated and taking the side of some kid in a sandbox talking about their castle and then crying over it and really being locked up and getting into some real adult scenarios over a sandcastle. You don't get it, And with all respect, I had to talk to somebody recently in one of my Telegram groups where she was saying, well, in the federal code, they talk about that sovereign citizens have a holiday. It's true. She's trying to argue that the word sovereign citizen is it's a real thing. It has standing in law. And I said it does not. It's not found in America's jurisprudence. It has not been codified. It has not been made code. Other terms like U.S. citizen, national of the United States, non-resident alien. Because you see a term in front of you, your mind is saying, well, they put the word sovereign and citizen together, so that means it's a thing. Not together. They were trying to say the citizen is sovereign. But sovereign citizen is not a legal or lawful standing that has been codified. State citizen has GPO style manual section 5.23. National of the United States, U.S. citizen of the United States has been 8 U.S.C. 1101A, 22A and B.
Woman. How? By presenting the evidence. What evidence? The properly filed ANC demonstrating you are in compliance with the law and your business entity is active and in good standing. Remember, no one is forcing you to admit that the legal name on that COLB is you. You submit to that voluntarily without realizing it.
That part's true. But here's the thing. Generally, the certificate of live birth these days, because there's no law that says that hospitals have to use capitalized letters or lowercase. If you're going to have a offspring, I would recommend doing it at either a private birth center, not a normal hospital, but it's up to you. Do whatever you want to do. Either way, if they're going to create a certificate of live birth, which they have to do, I would ask them, can you please put that in all lowercase lettering for religious reasons? They may or may not want to do that. They may or may not like you. If you tell them you want to anything religious or private, they're going to look at you like you're the devil and smile at you begrudgingly. We got one of those wacky sovereign people. But they still want your money. But here, yeah. So we're gonna apply for the birth certificate from the state for you. No, I'm good. Now, some people ask me, would I still do this to my offspring, knowing what I know now? Well, there are benefits, but devil given for the birth certificate. One of which is knowing that it creates a monetary value. We do not know how to access that legally at this point in time. Maybe we will one day. And those can be worth millions of dollars. So maybe, but now that I know how to control it, I'm not afraid of the strong man. I'll take all that stuff. I know how to stand on it. I know how to use it. They don't want me in court. They don't want to bother me. Only the new guys, that the dickwads and assholes, those are the only ones who the other OGs who don't mess with me anymore push my way. And they go, hey, you need to earn your stripes. Go knock on the Badwolf's door. And then here comes old cocksucking Kevin over here. I have to knock his teeth down his throat. Legally speaking.
It. How do you know who you really are if that legal name is not you? I will first ask you. From where did you come? The answer is that you originate from your family, your mother.
Often tried, never denied, and ready to be tried again. Where did you come from? Your family, your FML, first, middle, last name. You know, if you've watched my videos, you know then that you're all Native Americans and you have a nation, a tribe, house, temple, whatever you want to call it. I'm done using the word family. We now know what that means. I don't like the word surname either. I have a given name, and that's a Native American, which all of us are. We're all native somewhere if you're living. Native Americans don't have last names. I mean, maybe some of them do today, but they've been colonized then. Yeah, my name's Sitting Bull Johnson. I apologize, I don't remember which tribe Sitting Bull's from, so but I'll use who I'm actually related to is Geronimo, who's Apache. So yeah, my name is Geronimo Lovett. No, you're Geronimo of the Apache tribe, Apache Nation.
Identifies where you came from. You were conceived at some point in time and the family name is referred to outside of the legal realm as a surname, not a last name. Attorneys intentionally confuse this name conundrum by
Like I said, if you think about it, for me, the surname really means a servant name. I'm not serving anybody but God. But from my perspective, the family name, now that we understand that, yeah, there's a whole thing called family law, right? So if they have a law on the word family, then they regulate it. If they regulate it, they own it. So don't make a trust called family anything. Don't use this word anyway. Family, familiar. Familiar means something that seems like something else. It's close. You seem familiar to me. FML, first, middle, last. The more I look at this word, the longer you stare at a word, if you just keep staring at it, doesn't it start to look funny? Is it just me? Operate how you want. I use given name.
Claiming the last name and surname mean the same thing when in fact one is living and breathing, the surname, while the other is non.
But let me clarify this. If you're doing something legal, it is okay to identify yourself as the last name with the first, middle, last, surname, family name in their stuff if you want their benefits or privileges. It's okay. You do not need to fight them every second of everything. But if you're coming to my kingdom and you're asking me for something, you're asking the king. You're asking, ask the king. And if you're asking the king for something, you must be subject or broke. Otherwise, you'd have your own kingdom and you wouldn't ask me for anything. So if you're asking for something, then you need to waive, give up, reside, bend over and grab your ankles, full diddy, because I have something you need or want. That is the game. If not, build or get your own. But when you're doing your stuff and in the private, then I wouldn't use any of these things. It's not ours. It's not natural. It's not native. It's not savage. It's not ancestral.
Non. Living and considered to be dead, the last name. The last name is last while the surname is must be first and then followed by a comma. A first middle last name has no comma or punctuation marks, a major distinction between the two. Although they appear to be used interchangeably, the law clearly states the distinctions by legal definition. Now you know the family name aka surname is not your last name. Can anyone tell me why anyone would knowingly place their family last? That would be ridiculous to put your family last when family always comes first. The given name always follows the surname and comma, pause, because that is the name your mother and father gave to you and who you are known as. It does not identify, identify you.
Your name, technically your name, was given to you by your mother and father. Do you know that that is legally hearsay because you were not competent? And after the age of 18, though you have continued to use it, is not your identifier once you become fully sentient and of an age of comprehension. It's hearsay.
You. Why? Because any name that identifies something cannot be a living, breathing man. It may only identify a non-living entity, i.e. a vehicle, tangible. A legal name identifies something intangible. An assumed business name certificate identifies this entity as legally transacting business in this state for a profit.
Now we know the heirloom and the certificate of live birth really uh, is for the living entity, but generally, if your name is in all capitalized letters, capitis diminutio maxima, Black Law's Dictionary, Latin, it's a different thing. But you, in under God's law, were not born with a name on you. And name is a construct. You are not created with a name on you unless it's something burned in your soul by the creator or whatever God you believe in.
Profit. Shakespeare wrote a script for a play called Romeo and Juliet that refers to the name July. Oh Romeo, Romeo. Wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. Rom. Aside. Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? July. 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself though, not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh. Be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose. By any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without that title, Romeo, doff thy name. Page 15 of 18. And for that name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. Shakespeare was indeed a 33rd degree Mason, and this, my friends, is exactly what Freemasonry is all about. Creating an illusion and then putting the truth right under your nose that would expose that illusion to you. It's
So this might be true. I've not researched this. I believe that he was, in fact, a 33rd degree Mason, but understand that he's not saying that because there are good ones and there are some bad ones out there. The bad ones are generally known as clandestine Masons. And as far as by saying create an illusion and putting right truth right under your nose, Masons do operate out in the world by putting the truth in front of you and allowing you to see if you can have a intelligence enough to decipher and discern the truth. The dark Masons or Illuminati or cabals, they don't, let me say this correctly, they muddy the information. So do you see the difference? The good ones put it out there in a play about, love and names, and you're seeing this, right? But the dark ones muddy it and put confusing things on there, like the word drive, so that you can't you comply with them. The dark ones bring you in to trap you. The good ones put it out there to try to wake you up. Because here's the problem. If the good ones put it out there, they're then attacked. So they have to put it out there in code, but in such a way they hope you wake up and realize it. The bad ones trap you, bring you in, and say, no, all of that's crazy. You're seeing things. So understand, guys, that there's good and bad in everything. Good and bad cops, good and bad Masons, good and bad Illuminati. I've met everything I just told you. I have personally met the good and bad of each of these things. Good and bad judges, good and bad lawyers, good and bad people in the Boy Scouts, good and bad people at the Elks Lodge, good and bad people on the streets, good and bad people in the hood, good and bad people in the suburbs, good and bad people in the churches. So don't ever let anybody fool you to say, "Oh, all Masons are bad, all church people are good, or all cops are bad." It's not true. All like, and I really loathe this one when females go, "All men are trash. All men are trash." Look, Miss Lady, you have not dated all men. I would argue to say that you've dated full-size boys. They're full-size physically, but they're boy in mentality. But before you guys chuckle too much, there's also full-size girls. Physically, they're adult. Mentally, they're incompetent, which is where some of this comes from, is because they're administrating us as being incompetent because we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves. All cops are bad. All cops are good. All Masons are bad. All Masons are good. You're missing the point. You're paying too much attention to the story and fighting each other than to figure out pulling the strings from above? Who's got their hand in your Muppet hole? Oh, distraction is the art of darkness.
It's right under your nose, but you do not see it.
Damn,
I am
thanks.
exposing the illusion and in the process, pulling back that curtain demonstrating that the almighty Oz is just a man with a cape and a pointy hat. I have broken that curse spell and made myself free from the bondage of my own doing.
Mind you, he's being very honest here and telling you that he broke the spell while being one of them and trapping us and doing and being in the system. He woke up. Wake within the dream. Where do you think they got the Wizard of Oz from? Did you not know that that was Mason people in there putting in ideology and things to get you to wake up? That's what the good people do. They don't have to be Masons, but I'm saying it's that part is true as well. Dorothy, somebody who fell asleep. She never actually went to Oz. Her mind did. Her mind went on a vacation. Her mind converted the people around her in her everyday life into heroes and villains. Same thing they're doing to us right now. We're here, we're dreaming, we don't know the delusion in front of us. We don't see the story because we've been in the story so long, we think it's normal life. The Tin Man, TIN man, tax identification number, non living thing looking for a heart, but it takes orders and it's strong. The Scarecrow, your all capitalized name, has no brain, does whatever Dorothy tells him to do, looking for its own brain, but doesn't have one until the end of the story when she wakes up. She follows the yellow brick road, which is the gold road of the United States of America. Did you also notice, on a side note, that there was a red road on the opposite side of the gold road, yellow brick road? The Cowardly Lion. That's the American. A lion, everybody and their mother should be afraid of it, but he's cowardly because he doesn't know what's going on. He's scared of everything because of the system. Please tell me you guys know this. You've seen this. You figured it out. Do I need to break down the Matrix to you as well? Or Dark City? Any of y'all ever see the movie Dark City? The good people out there in from the church or the whatever they are, the elite, there's actually good elite out there too. They're putting these messages of what's really going on around us in these movies generally, or the ball in Hollywood, which was used for making wizard and witch wands for putting spells on people. In the music industry, one of the original fallen angels using music as a in a sinful way. They're casting spells, people, and you're not seeing it. That music you're listening to, be careful what you listen to. Why do you think they don't want you to listen to like Mozart and whatever other music tuned to the correct frequency that's uplifting? Why do you think when you listen to music, you hear the same repeating words, the same line said three times in a row? Three times is the charm, three times is the perfection. It's godly, but they've been using it to put a dark, godly spell over you. Then listen to the words that you're hearing. Come on, I know most of you guys get this. I just have to say it to the people in the back. I've known this since I was like 12 or 14. And if you didn't, hey, welcome to the club. Hey, better late than never. So keep going.
That spell has been eternally broken now. All that is left is for you to act on it. Your actions are what define and identify you as a good man or a good woman. We all have God's will instilled within us, and God created us to be like Him, not to be Him. Our Creator wants us to be good, but for good to exist, so must the bad, evil, otherwise there would be no choice. Good cop, bad cop. Light and dark. Happiness and sadness. Freedom and bondage. Yin and yang. We are
Yin yang.
doing all of this to ourselves.
Wait. Yin yang twins. Yin yang and this thing. Oh, some of y'all might not remember that song. Might not be old enough. My bad.
Ourselves. All of the pain and suffering in the world shall end when we stop partaking in what is causing our own pain. Waking up and seeing the light is the beginning of that process. I am simply pointing you in the proper direction and showing you the door, that's all. The rest is up to you because you must walk through that door. I am not attempting to persuade or convince anyone that what I am telling you here is the truth. That is not possible because everyone must figure this out before it has to become knowledge, and at this stage, few if any people know this. A belief is the absence of knowledge. This is why I do not believe anything. I either know something or I don't. If you tell someone that you believe in God, what you are really telling them is that you do not know. Beliefs and entities only exist in fictional realms. A realm is something fictional, and this means that government, commerce, and religion are all fictional realms. Only non-living entities may legally exist in a fictional realm, such as that which constitutes government. Government is an entity as well, and within which all statutes and codes exist. An entity is always a non-living thing. Reality TV in and of itself is an oxymoron because TV is a non-living thing that is just staged to appear as if it were real. A license is only issued to entities. What is a license? This is a good one for all of you that have driver's licenses and are somewhat pissed that people such as myself drive every day and do not have a driver's license or numbered
Whoa,
plates on
hold
the
on. Hold on. We already identified who this person is. So did we just hear that this official from Minnesota way back when, I don't know if he's still in office or whatever else, but he should say he drives. Well, technically he shouldn't say drive. He should say travel because if he's doing it properly, he's traveling. If you don't have a license, you're operating your personal vehicle or your private vehicle, then you're traveling. Driving is like saying I'm a doctor. So I wouldn't never say like, oh, I'm gonna go over there and doctor this girl, um, you know, because I'm not a licensed doctor, and you can be held accountable for stating that you're a doctor, operating like you're one when you're not one. So if you're gonna do something, you don't want to say that you're a doctor. You might want to say that you're I don't know, a natural healer, a private healer, but don't use their titles because if you do, then you're basically saying you're one of them. Now, I still belong to many fraternities and some things private and some things public. One of the things that I haven't really talked about much because there's no reason really to is that I was a part of a gang a long time ago. Still got a lot of connections, we're just going to say, educationally speaking, though I don't really maintain those ties. It was a long time ago on the street stuff. But if you use certain colors, hand signs, gestures, you're always in certain places, then that gang will assume that you're one of them. If you get tested, as we used to say, spit your lit, meaning know your literature. You had to know you know how to have you had to know the handshake and you had to know the words. And in the old days, you had to have pages of information memorized on what goes along with what. It's part of the code in those days. Gang gang. And if you didn't, you were violated. If you had it wrong, you were violated. So when they say something like a sovereign citizen, they're basically saying you're saying you're part of our gang, but you ain't moving right, bro. You're about to be violated for that action. Like say way back in my day, okay? Um, you didn't really carry guns. You had maybe a chain at best. You fought somebody and it was what it was. But let's say back in those days, you had like a gun or something on you and you used it. That would be a violation. You weren't allowed to have that. The scenario wasn't that serious. You'd get violated by that from the OGs. So all that they're doing when they're calling you a sovereign citizen or whatever else, they're saying that you're a citizen because their sovereign citizen has no standing in law, has never been codified. They're saying, look, you're one of us, but you're not operating right, so I got to violate you. I got to arrest you. I got to put you in jail. I got to do these things to you. You gave me permission because you're out here perping like you're a pimp, but you ain't. You're not one of us. Or are you? What is it? You're either in or you're out. So that's why they say, know thyself. Because if you don't know who you are, you're like a ship in maritime admiralty water with no flag. I see a vessel and it ain't got no flag, which means it ain't got no ownership. Some people may or may not like what I'm going to say next, but that's kind of like how, especially in the old days, a woman was looked at because she was a vessel with no flag. Here's this beautiful ass multi-million dollar yacht capable of so much, but doesn't have a flag on there. I'm gonna jack that shit. Finna put my flag on there, which is why she on her own out there in the sea of commerce could be snatched up. That's why the father who would raise his daughter to have discernment about what men or ships or whatever to deal with or not deal with and to stay away from boys would then try to marry her off to a good man who, amongst the men and men, have a cordiality and agreement. You will take care of my daughter, raise her, and help her to become from a woman to being a better woman, and a man, her doing the same thing to him, especially on the spiritual side, was a thing. Why? Because then she would take on his last name, his flag, his crest. That's why when a female goes out there and does certain things, a man is very hesitant to put his name on that because she is then carrying his flag in the real world. How she then operates is a representation of his kingdom and her queendom. If your queen is out there looking all jacked off and making you look foolish and cheating and lying or whatever else, not saying that men can't do the same thing. I'm not giving an excuse there, so don't take it there. Just a story. You can understand why now that these are the same core principles that have been passed on since the founding mothers and fathers of our species. There are certain posh subtleties that go on out there in the world, and the cabal are trying to take those things away. Why do you want to be so formal? Why do you just go out there, sleep with anybody, do whatever you want to do, blah blah blah, have lots of kids? Because and fight and argue, bicker in public, blah, 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 because then it shows that you are an animal. And in Black Law's dictionary, the old one, it had the definition of a human being as a monster or automaton to be corrected and controlled, like cattle. So when you're out there acting, doing all that stuff, I'm going to mess up his car. I'm going to do all this other stuff. You're operating as a belligerent combatant. Your money waiting to happen for them. But I feel I'm emotional because you're not controlling your emotions or your feelings. You don't have emotional intelligence, and that makes them money. Let's get back to it. Let's finish this up, shall we?
Vehicles I drive. I know that I do not want or need one, but you seem to think I do because you think you need one, and you may even claim you want one, but after reading this you may want to change your mind. Why? Well, this is why. The term license is taken from the root word for the term licentious. What does licentious mean? Here it is. Simple definition of licentious: sexually immoral or offensive.
Wow.
Wow, and the more complex full definition of that word licentious is.
Hold on. I'll be honest. I didn't know that part. I didn't read this document. I'm just letting it play. It's first time. I didn't read this before I'm doing this. And I'm going to post it today. So this is really happening right now, like on Spaceballs. When are we? We're now. We're live. So you're saying everything that happens now happens now? Yes. We'll go back to then. We can't. Why? We passed it. When? Just now. Sorry, big nerd. So not only did he just admit that he doesn't have a license and he figured out what it is, but I did not know that was the definition of license. I have myself not looked it up. So shall we do it live? Let's do it live. It's gonna be a little bit longer of a video. I think I got an hour before I have to get to my consult today. So let's tidy this up real quick, like. Now, this is Black Law's Dictionary, the newest one. So they may not have it in here, and it may not say what he is saying, but I'm sure he researched it somewhere. But let's just see here. Well, obviously, in the word license, says right here is the word lie. License 15C, which probably means from America's jurisprudence. I don't have that one up here. A privilege granted by a state, small s, thinks Cornell Law EDU, or a city upon the payment of a fee. Now, we already know that one of the Supreme Court opinions or court cases that's law states that anywhere where a city or state or municipality charges for a license where the person can do it without a license, meaning you can do it of your own free will and accord, you have the right to ignore that license with impunity and operate as such. The law will back you up. However, you might want to make sure that you have everything right and you've either removed or closed, downplayed, transferred all your stuff because they will still operate on the almighty computer. Now, that does not mean that you can go and get like a big rig and transport chemicals and things and whatever else because that's considered commercial. And those things are considered dangerous to the public. And you must be licensed because you need to be a professional. And then you get paid for it. The recipient of the privilege then being authorized to do some act or series of acts that would otherwise be impermissible. A license in this sense is a method of government regulation exercised under the police power as with a license to drive a car, operate a taxi service, etc., keeping a dog in the city, or sell crafts to a street vendor, all of which you don't need license for if you do it properly. Also termed as a permit, permission, revocable to commit some act that would otherwise be unlawful. Okay. Now, there may be a better version. That is the new version. I'm going to see if I can find one in the original, the OG. Between the other nine, eight, nine between there, there might be a better definition, but I'm not going to go through all of them right here and now. My time is short today for stuff I have to get done. See what the original version of the license says. In the law of contracts, done. It's a contract. A permission, meaning given by another person, accorded by the competent authority, conferring the right to do some acts which, without such authority, would be illegal or would be a trespass or a tort. Also, the written evidence of such permission. There you go. So it's based on a lie, hence it's a license, and its license is a contract, hence a con. Tract is to gain ground on traction. So it's a lie to gain traction on you. It's right in the words. Let's see what he has to say about it though.
Is 1. Lacking legal or moral restraints, especially disregarding sexual restraints, prostitution. 2. Marked by disregard for strict rules of correctness. Rule breaker. Page 16 of 18. So what does all of this really mean and why does it even matter? Well, contrary to what most people think, when one applies for and obtains a license, that license is required to break the law. That's right, if you do not have a license of any sort, you cannot possibly break any laws. What?
Now, this is a gem drop here. Normally, I would put this in the VIP section or in the seminars coming up, but I'll give it to you guys here. Seeing this is the last video we're going to, well, not the last video ever, but the last one before the seminar series. Do you hear what he says here? If you do not have a license of any sort, essentially, he's also stating if you close out all of your stuff for the license, you can't possibly break that license's law. Now, this doesn't mean you can go and operate on people without a license. Yeah, I didn't have one. So, what they're saying here is that if you call yourself a doctor and you're not one, that's a problem. If you have a doctor's license and you're not doing something right, or you pay your fees, or you do this or do that, it's a problem. I mean, you shouldn't be operating on people anyway. But if you're going to do like, let's say, like natural holistic stuff is not under the term doctor, but under a health advisor, a private health coach, and you make a suggestion, they can't say you broke the law. See what I did there? But yeah, seriously, people don't operate on people. It's just not a good thing. But generally, because you're operating on somebody, you're actually physically hurting them, and that is a crime. But all of this stuff, they're playing you.
What?
Yeah.
That may not appear or seem correct to you, but it is correct and the law spells this out very clearly. Here
Huh?
is an example of this in the Motor Vehicle Code.
Okay.
California statutes and codes state that no person shall drive a motor vehicle. Yep, that is the law, which then goes back to that definition of person. If I have a driver's license, doesn't that provide me the right to drive/travel? Nope, it's not a right to drive, it's a privilege that
Ah, he corrected
can be
himself.
taken away/suspended, and we know this happens all the time, right? That driver's license actually makes the act of driving a motor vehicle illegal, and that privilege may be taken away from the licensee for any reason, or for no reason whatsoever. All one must do is have that ID on their person, and that automatically makes that person a criminal because it cannot be you. What's in your wallet?
So remember, your ID is not actually you. Now, don't try to argue this with the cop on the side of the road. It's not going to work. This is something that you would put in your paperwork. I'll cover all this in the seminars. Your ID, okay, we thought ID stood for identification. ID stands for identifying. The I stands for identifying. The D stands for document. It's not identification, it's identifying document or individual document. But it's identifying document, ID. The person, even though it's your picture, I'll just speak to you like I'm you. It's a, when you take a picture of you, that physical picture is not you. It looks like you. We know that. It's 100% a representation of you. Remember, I always said, be careful of words with the word letter R in there. It is a representation, representation of you on that identifying document. Representation. A present, oh crap. A representation of you is inaccurate. You, well, it's accurate for the ID, but you are in the present, so you are a presentation. You are always in the present as a living being. You're never in the past, you're never in the future. So you, the real you, is a presentation. You are present. You are a present. The ID, identifying document, is a representation of you, which means it can't actually be you. So it is a legal representation of you. It itself is a legal person. You're holding the ID and you're saying, hey, this is so close to being me that it is me. I am that legal thing. I am that rock. I am that tree. I am that thing, which is called alter ego, or a term that I may not have created. It might actually already be out there, but I call it multiple personality or multiple legal personality disorder. You think that the legal entity, the thing, is you. My cousin likes to say alter ego. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Only one can drive at a time. And even if you combine the two, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk, you combine them, then guess what happens? Lowest common denominator wins. Whichever one is the monster, whichever one is the has a foot in their jurisdiction, ruins the whole thing. Unless you can prove to them and articulate that you're not. Show them you're the intelligent and not the monster. If you can't, much like something I created, I call it my dog shit cake theory. If grandma makes a cake and you put some dog shit in it, no matter what size of that lump of dog crap, you put it in there, you swirl it all up. Woo, woo. Is the cake good or is the cake bad? Cake is bad. No one's going to eat the cake, not even a little piece. What about the side spot? The whole cake is shitty. This is what they do to you with these IDs and the legal person and the surname and the family name. They made you a shitty person. All right, let's see if we can keep going.
Wallet? If there's a driver's license in there, you are taking a huge risk and probably have no idea what I am talking about. Allow me to explain. You unwittingly gave the God-given right to travel. You unwittingly gave the God-given right to travel/drive and live when you exchanged them. All for government privileges.
This is where he finally realized he figured it out, something I've been teaching for a long time. You gave it up. You gave up your privacy, your private life, your status, your standing. A living person stands, a dead thing has a status. So we have a standing as a living man or a living woman under the Constitution and under the God. But you gave up that God-given right name to travel, to trav El. El is God, to trav El, God's gift and blessing to you to move about. When you resided and became a resident, to reside and enter, to resurrect, to bring into a new place. You did that. You got your voters be careful with words with R in there, registration to re, especially.
Privileges. Yep, you did that without knowing what you were doing. We all did though, so don't feel bad. We unwittingly waived any and all God-given rights we may have thought we.
That doesn't mean they're gone forever, but what it means is that your name is now in their system, that which was God given, if you will, and it has been tainted. So now you must create things with new private, non-registered names. Or names and numbers, combinations of thereof, something that they don't have in their database and computer, and you operate out of them like a trust or whatever else. Once again, more of that will be in the seminars. If you want to partake in those and be gamed up, about to get you suited and booted.
We still had by stating and admitting that we are a legal name and that legal name is once again, a non-living entity. Saying that you are a non-living entity is a big fat lie. This may seem rather confusing, and it is. This scheme and master plan was specifically designed to be confusing and complicated as a means to discourage someone like me from asking relevant questions.
This is what they did to all of us. But if you're here now and watching this, you're on the good foot, as they used to say. You've got good footing. This is why when somebody like me with an IQ of 161 and I'm breaking this down so that any average person can overstand the information, not stand under my authority, they like to have their little agents out there make videos against me, some proclaiming to be a national just like us, but they're doing the system's work by trying to attack me because they want to keep it confusing. They want to hog all the glory. They are slaves wearing sheep's clothing. I'm one of you guys. Listen to me. I'm a sheep too. I sound like a sheep, right? Bah. Oh, don't listen to the bad wolf over there. Wolves are dangerous and scary. They confused it, which is called the legal term is obfuscation. 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 Okay? Sorry. I got big lips. Obfuscation. Deliberately confusing things within the legal realm, etc., to make it complicated so that you need somebody to guide you through, which is where your public pretender, public defender, etc., your judge and whoever else, that's where they come in at. They are there for people who are belligerent, combatant, not the age of majority or not competent and age of majority, to guide you through the confusing waterways, which is fine. But they turned it, now let me say this correctly. This service of those public people's persons has always been for profit. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart, but they turned it into a thriving business to hurt and deceive. Why don't you see on the back of police cars the word America? Why don't you see America on most of your products and services, especially in the public? Why don't police cars no longer have to serve and protect? Seems more like to sever and prosecute. See what I did there? Because they want to be the ferrymen in the waters of strife and commerce and death. I'll guide you. You can trust me. Come here, little girl. Come here, little boy. Come to my island. Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to go on your physical island. I don't want to go on your legal island. I'm good. Also called the District of Columbia. Let's wrap it up.
Questions. Employees cannot answer many of the questions I ask them, saying that what I am saying is unintelligible and therefore unimportant. After all, everyone is doing it, so I must do it too, yes? No. This train of thought is foolish. Just because everyone is doing something does not make what it is they are doing legal and correct any more than someone acting the exact opposite of everyone else makes it wrong. I am doing the exact opposite of most of you. I do not have any license of any sort. A license is permission to do something wrong, ergo, you must have one in order to break the law.
Break their law, which then creates the money. You know, as I'm looking at the word license, you see the word sense in there, right? So isn't this a lie, L-I, of a sense, either lacking a sense, and so they're giving you a sense to do this? It's a lie in sense, incest, incense, license. There's some kind of connection in there.
Law. If you don't have a license, there is no way to do something that violates a law, which would normally result in the issuance of a fine, jail, or both when you are found guilty. So the license is what provides the evidence that it is your intent to break the law, because without one, breaking the law is impossible. Are you confused enough yet? Did you really intend to screw yourself? Probably not, but it certainly appears that way to a cop. He will say, tell it to the judge if you argue or claim innocence.
See, that's the problem, is because they have a well-oiled system where the no offense to my police officers, law enforcement that are good, and the ones I know, family and friends, but you are a hired thug. You are a road pirate. You don't know what's going on. They send you out there not knowing the law, but to execute the law because this falls underneath the executive branch. So do as I tell you, not as I do, which is what they tell you to do. And that's what you then tell the driver to do. But they don't teach you about the private citizen. Well, some of you guys do know that. Or private rights, constitutional rights, private law. They don't teach you about anything. That if you're out there in a motor vehicle, the problem is that a private person's vehicle is not legally a motor vehicle. He who owns the product, device, or thing can define it. If I'm not registered in your computer, it is not a motor vehicle. If I do not have a license, I am not a driver. You can only rule, sever something that you own. That's it. I really don't understand why this is complicated for some people, but I guess maybe people just never heard of it and they've been brainwashed to think a certain way. Well, I'm here to set you free. Someone called me Morpheus that in on one of my comments. It's been a long time since I was called that.
Innocence. If you have a license in your wallet, you have permission to be licentious, considered by definition.
So then you have they're giving you a physical document that gives you the ability to be, what did they say up here? Go back up. Immoral or offensive to what? Well, to your freedoms. Because if you look in the word immoral, and a license gives you the ability to be sexually immoral or offensive, then you're saying I have the right to be not moral. The opposite of moral is immoral. So a license, a lie of sensuousness, sensuality, incest, a lie of something sensuous, sentious, is to then be the opposite. So in other words, you they're giving you permission to operate a certain way that is okay if you're one of them. So they're giving the demon the ability to demon. It's okay if you're one of us.
To be lewd conduct marked by a strict disregard for the
But if you don't demon the correct way, we're going to then jeopardize and penalize and uh, protect and serve. I mean, to prosecute and sever you as well.
the rules of correctness. Quite honestly, that license makes you look like a perverted whore. Wow. Perhaps a license is not such a good idea then, you licentious slut.
I do know there's a word, what is it? I think it's lascivious, which is similar to licentious. And lascivious means to, I think it's to have a uh, less than perfect character in business. Pretty close, huh?
People that label themselves persons with a first middle last name unknowingly step into a
So what they're saying here is that they say, well, this person must appear. That means this entity. This person must use a first, middle, and last name. So your first, middle, and last name, if you want to look at it this way, we'll back up. You can say this is you. But when they say this person must identify themselves with their, when you see the word person, they're then saying you must match and say this is you. And when you do that, you're then saying you're an entity. You have negated, you've recited your name from a true first, middle, last name, if you want to look at it that way, living, natural being, and I negate all of that to be this person. So let me share something with you. So I went. One of the things I went to school for was electrical engineering, technology, and software development. Okay, so yes, I am an engineer. Um, One of the things that was really weird, and it blew this one guy's mind. He was very intelligent, but it blew his mind. We'll call him Balky. Okay, this guy was wild. So we're in class, and Balky goes, after learning something from the teacher about resistors, those little tiny things inside of your devices that have the little band colors, look kind of like a little ant or whatever else, usually like a gray or a brown. Those resist electricity or current from going through itself to the next part of it, so they can, reduce, slow it down essentially, and they get warm and whatever else. I won't go into all that now. Um, but the teacher told us if you take 5 ohm, which is just a measure of resistance, a million ohm, which is a lot, like trying to put electricity through a wall. Like a 1 ohm would be like the tip of your finger. So real easy. Now you'd think if you put all of these together, that the 1 million, the 50 million, the 5, and the 1 ohm resistance would all add up. And generally they do. But in a specific configuration, and it's been a year since I researched this or studied this, went to school for it, knew it. But if I remember correctly, if you put them in parallel, whatever the lowest resistor is negates all of the rest of the resistance in that circuit area. So if you put a 1 ohm resistor in parallel with a 50 million, that circuit's going to operate as if it only has the 1 ohm in there. Now, if you put it in series, yes, they add. Okay. I believe batteries are reversed, but that's been forever. So Balky lost his marbles. He stormed out of the classroom. I don't think we've seen him ever again. That flipped his switch. He was done. He said, "So you were telling me?" This guy stood up. I thought he was going to pew pew the whole. He goes, "If you are you telling me if I make a Statue of Liberty out of resistors and I put one in parallel, or put them all in parallel, and the smallest one is 3 ohm resistance, the whole thing has a resistance of 3 ohms?" Teacher said, "Yes." Switch flipped. The guy was gone. He took off. That was it. He was done. Balky had his share. I guess maybe if you believe in the continuity of the universe, that scenario happened so that I could use it then now for a story. Hmm. Universe is a crazy, strange place.
A.
I'm just a madman in a box,
Huge
guys.
pile of crap because they have no idea what they are doing. Remember that a license must be applied for to that agency known as the DMV. To apply is to beg, and then $$ exchanged in return for valuable consideration. This makes the registration of a vehicle with the DMV a business transaction in this state, and the profit is going to the state, not you. Haha. Remember that nothing can be forced upon anyone, and that includes a license to drive or to do. Page 17 of 18.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Nothing else. Government employees have no obligation to tell you this, but it is intentionally omitted from the instructions when you request a certificate of live birth.
Now, really, the whole thing here is there is no legal obligation to tell you anything outside of what is considered public. That's true. Most of them don't know government, state, federal, whatever, municipal level, they don't know. So that's plausible deniability. The legal department knows, but no one's asking them from above because they're usually run by a board. Usually it's about 6 to 10 or 15 gentlemen wearing suits who meet every once in a while. And they don't see any need for this. Because if they did, it would interfere with them making money. Do you see it now? And once again, he's using the certificate of live birth. He doesn't understand. Maybe once again, since then he's updated this. This should say state of birth certificate. That's the one, not the living one. This is the living one. How do we know that? Because it has the word live in there. However, also he's correct in a way because it's called a certificate, meaning to make formal. This is why they want you to have this one, or they give you this for free, but they want to charge you for the one with the baby feet print on there, which is your live birth document. That's the powerful one. Those are the ones that go missing and end up at the Vatican because it is immaculate conception uh, between the offspring's creation from the divine creator to the female's womb, and the first thing that it touches, other than the air, is that document. They don't want you to have that document. They will not let you put that on the bill. They want you to pay that cash on the spot. And they downplay it by saying, oh, it's just a heirloom. It's just a souvenir, but yet it's the first thing that they do to the baby as soon as it comes out of the vajayjay. Come on, man. Everything done first matters. The first person to drive a car, the baby's first steps, baby's first footprint onto a man-made object, circumventing it to touch that before it touches land, a female's virginity. These are all important things to different people on different levels for different reasons. Value them. They want you to downplay those things. Oh, girls, it don't matter if you lose your virginity to who and whatever else. Sleep with all the guys you want. Oh, it doesn't matter which one of these birth documents you have. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Oh, but you need the state of certificate. Doesn't matter how many people have had that car and it's used and scratched up and damaged. Doesn't matter. Well, I want a brand new one. Why does anybody buy a brand new one? Everybody should be buying used cars then, because there's value there. They want to downplay all these things to you. And if it says certificate of what? If it says the word of, it means you're not getting the real thing. State of New York is not the same thing as New York State. So certificate of live birth is not the real thing. What is the real thing? The live birth one. What is the live birth one? It has to be something that came before this one. If this is a certificate of that thing, certificate of title for your car is not the real one. The title is. You're getting a certificate of that title. They destroy the original title. They get rid of the original live birth. They're telling you right here, look, live birth, what? This is a certification of. Word of means you're not getting a real thing. Honorary member of the Johnson family means I'm not a real Johnson. They keep the first ones because they know the power of the original, of it being pure, untainted, untouched by man, etc. They're playing everybody for fools. F my baby daddy. F my baby daddy. Got females out here saying stuff like that. You chose that male and he gave you a gift. I love my baby. I'm going to take care of I'm going to He gave it to you. You chose poorly. You chose a boy. Should have chose a man, but you didn't because you didn't have good enough discernment. Sorry if this hurts anybody's feelings. It's the truth. And then they got you into the hospital, did away with the live birth document, the heirloom, the souvenir, played you. By law, they had to give you a certificate of it, though. Next best thing. Then the lady comes back in there and says, "Oh, you need a state of birth certificate." So your child, using their terminology, as you, the mother, informant, their words, and your child, not your offspring, and then do business in their commercial world. Come on, man. I don't care if any of this hurts anybody's feelings. I really don't. This is the truth. If it hurts your feelings, go heal that part or ignore it and keep, this is my baby daddy, my booty hole brown. Guys, if you're going to be there, if you're going to be a man, I don't have to tell men what to do. Men know what to do. Boys don't. But as a boy, if you're going to have a child with a female and you want to have some rights, you better be in there signing the birth certificate. Put your name on a certificate of live birth if you want rights. If not, you ain't got none. Whoever does this, and I seen a female who did this recently, she did sign the birth certificate, and now she has to pay child support, even though she is not with the girl anymore, and it ain't her biological child. You need to know the severity of these things. But they don't want you to. They want you to play the game, have lots of kids, be wild. I'm jumping out at the light or twerking at the light, the red light, whatever that song is. Right here, look. They want you to be self-destructive because it makes them money. And not even our country, not even our nation. Well, that money it goes back into it to some degree, but it's part of the British system, the bar. The bankers are making money off of you. The elite families are making money. Try to take some of the food out of your fridge right now and see if you can take it to Europe and sell it over there. They're going to tell you no, it's not. Most of that stuff is not even real food. I can't even say certain things about certain companies, even though it's true, because I know what they'll do. They're just going to get my video banned. So I have to talk very generally.
Birth. The.
Because even YouTube is a commercial enterprise operating under the state. State's operating under the federal. Federal is operating through and with the United States Corporation through District of Columbia. And guess who owned that? No, go ahead. I'll let you guess. I mean, I don't. Educationally speaking, I'm saying that make a guess. You know, no guesses. No. Oh, that's right. You guys can hear me. I can't hear you guys. Okay, my bad.
They would not be subject to those written laws. You're registered. Legal business entity could be cited or arrested and thrown in jail, but it's not you, so you will never go to jail. What a brilliant trick.
But what they do is they get you to be a surety. They say, "Aren't you the trustee of that thing?" I mean, you said it was you, so either you're lying then or you're lying now. Gotcha, bitch.
Trick. We have been played and hoodwinked by the British accredited registered slime and the banking elite families. But please do not blame Them, for it is us that have been our own worst enemy. You are self-destructive and don't know it. Brilliant. If one is doing something to harm themselves voluntarily and without thought, that will always be legal and is actually imperative for the scam/plan to work properly. The DMV is a very compartmentalized agency in that the employees each have very specific tasks they must complete. Carrying out that specific task may put one at risk of personal liability. Why
Liability.
those
And once again, the prefix to the word lie, ability. So we now see that there is an ability in there to do what? Lie. You are liable. You have liability. You have the ability to lie. You have liability. So once again, li comes from something and it means something. That's why they use it in lie sense. To lie.
Sneaky little, wait a minute, no pointing fingers at anyone else now, it's your fault because you were never forced to do anything. Remember, everything is voluntary.
One guy I talked to was on my side. He's listening, learning all this stuff, right? But man, he got hellified hot. He went straight fire. Wolf, but damn it, give it the son of a dirtbag. I said, but did they ever come to your door and force you to sign anything, or did you go there asking for their service, their product, their permission? You went to them. You volunteered. You also didn't ask them for full disclosure. You thought they were your friend, huh? As my mom used to say, God rest her soul, them ain't your friends. You're going to find that a lot of people out there mean well, but they ain't your friends. And for damn sure, not the people operating in public capacity. They're doing a job. You are a number. You are a product. You are an employee underneath them when operating publicly.
Voluntary. Well then, stop volunteering. Aha, now fear seems to be a problem because people are afraid to drive without a license and
You cannot drive without a license. You can travel privately in your personal conveyance. This is their term, like using the term doctor. They literally own the word drive. You will be ticketed, towed, and fined. Cannot drive without a license. I went to bat with the DMV head commissioner. And I said, look, I'm operating my vehicle privately. It's my private property. In my own, and at the time I didn't know about my creating my own jurisdiction, but I did. He said, fine, then you'll never drive in this state again. And I said, you're absolutely right. I will never drive again in their state because their state is a corporation. I will never have my information in their computer on their paper being moving around. That is driving. Operating a motor vehicle on the public roadways. Correct. I will never operate, not a doctor. Doctor. A motor vehicle, which is their word. So I will not doctor and operate a motor vehicle, which is their word, which motor vehicle means ownership of it is registered to them. Motor vehicle is different than automobile. Motor vehicle conveys ownership in a public registered to their system. I will not do all of that on a public motorway or roadway. I will do it privately on the roadway. This is all which only the legal department and certain judges understand, not a police officer, except for the ones that are on my side who watch my videos and reach out to me. Those guys and ladies are awesome because I don't want to see them get sued, so I help everybody. And apparently, somebody out there was mad that I said I help everybody. I'm not against them. I'm sorry if you are. Some of those people are awesome people. I'm not waging war here. I'm a non-belligerent, non-combatant. Anybody who comes here to drink water can drink. Unless you're going to hurt me or mine, then you're not welcome here. And we got a chitty chitty bang bang and some things for that too, if that's how we have to roll. And around here, a little twin. All right, let's get back to it. So, do you guys overstand this information now?
Think if they take that public numbered plate off and replace that with a private property plate, their vehicle will be taken. That numbered plate tells that cop you are driving public property, which means you are given a privilege to drive it. Only if you pay the rental fee to use it.
I like to call
That
it
is
a
called a
membership
use
tax.
tax, and people give that gift to the DMV every year for the privilege to drive that vehicle they think they own. A man or woman cannot own anything. They may possess it and control it, and that is all I am doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, depends on how deep you want to go in that. We won't go into that now in here, but yeah.
Doing. Fear is manufactured with lies and misleading information fed to us via television and now social media.
And also the radio, Hollywood, and videos, yes.
Media. Our minds are bombarded with bullshit every day.
Facts,
Fear is actually man-made.
facts.
We are scaring the shit out of each other and then blaming one another for all the problems we are.
Much like the Wizard of Oz, we're not paying attention to the man behind the curtain. You get it now?
Are having. This may seem crazy, and it is. Stop the madness and start living.
Because the debtor is dead. That's what a debt is. The debt is for the dead thing. You haven't been living in the present. You're in a standstill because you don't overstand this information.
This paper is a lot longer than I initially wanted it to be, but then all those people out there illegally operating in the realm of commerce, transacting business with licenses would never know how licentious they really are, and now realize how easy it really is to correct this problem.
So it is a type of fraudulent scenario. This is true. But remember, it's not in general illegal to identify yourself as the thing, to be regarded as a member of theirs, and to do business. That is not illegal. But certain actions in there, and if you don't know what's going on and being misinformed, is a form of fraud, and certain things are then illegal or being done illegally. But if you don't catch it or know when to identify it, like I do, which will be in the seminar videos, well, then your fault. It's just good business. And keep in mind, the federal government, though they are a tiny part of the problem, it's mostly your states. But the government is complicit in there because certain departments also know what these state of, are doing to us. But if you don't involve them in your events and where they're denying you of your rights and freedoms and liberties, then as far as they're concerned, it's just good business. If I don't hear about it, it ain't going on.
Problem. Peace, love, and light to everyone that reads this, for you are now on the right spiritual Authored by underscore underscore
All right. So once again, you can see his credentials here. You put it online. So fair use. There it is. So once again, for those people, somebody similarly who's done this for us to give us a glimpse into the shadowy world of Oz is Judge Dale. And I've already made some videos with those. All right. For those people who don't know, you guys can also go to Black Site 32 and download this document, Judge Dale document, on the free document page 1. And now we've got a free document page 2. And as of today, right now, we just added some more pages and documents on document page 2. Go get those. While you guys are there, understand that we've had 500,000 people come through the site. But yet we ain't 500,000 people on the subscribe for the site, nor for the YouTube video and channel. Help a brother out. Let's get to it. If you guys want to donate, please feel free to do that there. Be careful of anybody in the social media pretending to be me. I will never ask you for any personal information, not to go touring with me, to meet you anywhere, send money or inappropriate pictures. Whatever it ain't me. If the guy is not short and sweet, well, I'm medium height and well, I got a little flavor to me. Um, I usually keep it very short in the comment sections, even if I can get to it. So if the guy's responding back to you, it's either not me. And if it's a short, hey, this, that, or the other, and probably only hit you up like maybe once, that might be me. But if he's asking for anything, it's definitely not. So beware of scammers out there, no matter what they say to you. Ask them some questions that they should know about me that you guys have heard on here. If you want to play with them, see what you know, ask them what the definition of driver is. They're gonna be like, so you know. But in general, just know that it's probably not me. So anyway, guys, thanks for supporting. I'm going to shut the video down now, get into some consultations, and then this week we will be filming the seminars, and then we're going to start between me and another person and some other people, a little group, and we are going to be doing conferences where you guys will be able to talk to experts and listen to them on different things that will help you on a daily basis. I'm talking about financial, credit, health, relationship, all that stuff. 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on however long we do it, at a very reasonable price. And we're going to take care of you guys as much as you guys would like us to do for you. All right. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great day. Wolf's out. Should I do it? Yeah. Let's send everybody off right. Mad Wolf, Man in Black. Talk to you guys later.